Hey there, my name is Chris Acton with Acton Creative, and this is a hand-woven experience. And in today's episode, I'm bringing you part 2 in our 2-part series all about weaving patterns, but specifically, how many shuttles do you need? In the previous episode, I tackled a whole list of 1-shuttle weaving patterns. And today, well, you guessed it, I'm bringing you 2-shuttle weaving patterns. Because when you're first starting out, there's just too many options, right? Who's with me? I remember being a beginner and being completely overwhelmed and having no idea what to do next. So I've created these lists for you so that you have a little more guidance, right? It narrows it down just a touch so that you can have some things already decided for you. So in today's list of 2-shuttle weaving patterns, I'm going to start with the easy ones and work to the ones that just require a few more skills. They require that you pay a little more attention. But let's start off nice and easy with log cabin. Now, log cabin is brilliant because it is just plain weave, my friends. That's all it is. However, you need 2 shuttles to do it, because you have to place the colors in such a way to create those great blocks, the log cabin effect, right? Whether it's a little vertical block or a little horizontal block, yeah. You do that with 2 shuttles, the same yarn, just in 2 different colors. Easy peasy. It's a great way to start. It's just a really fun pattern to ease you in to working with 2 shuttles. Next up is twill. Now, you'll remember that twill made the list in the previous episode with the 1-shuttle weaving patterns, but twill is a huge category and there are certain variations of twill that require 2 shuttles. And you need 2 shuttles for color reasons, because to create a certain effect, you need varying colors. You need 2 contrasting colors to create the look that you're after. Specifically in houndstooth and in pinwheels. Those are the ones that I really love. There's lots of others, but those are the ones that I would recommend if you want to play with twill and 2 shuttles, houndstooth and pinwheels. That's the way to go. Next up is rep weave. Now, I find that while a category like twill is huge, there's lots of options, rep weave is its own category. It is a really unique and very fun weaving pattern to create. At the core of it, it is just plain weave, but you mash all of the warp yarns really close together, so that's all you see are the warp yarns. And then with your 2 shuttles, you use 1 really tiny shuttle and 1 really chunky shuttle to create these ridges in the fabric. It's really fun and a very different way to construct fabric. If you ever get a chance, please try some rep weave. I think you'll love it. Next on our list, I have kind of a trio, starting with monk's belt. Monk's belt is a very old pattern and it calls for 2 shuttles because you'll have 1 shuttle in the background as a tabby that's holding it all together. Then you'll have another one as the pattern, which is going to be a thicker weft, but it's the glamour girl. It's the one that's kind of skirting everywhere and making it an interesting piece of fabric. So monk's belt is a great place to start. But after that, I love some summer and winter. It's a very similar idea using 2 shuttles. 1 in the background and 1 for the pattern, which is awesome. By the way, those 2 shuttles can be the same color. They just have to be different sizes. That is the key thing to remember there. And lastly, in this kind of progression is overshot. Ooh, oh, overshot. It's lovely, isn't it? When I think of traditional overshot, I think of historic coverlets in like a navy and a cream, right? But overshot is so much more than that. There's so much you can do with it. But as we're making our way down the list, for something like overshot, you could have a fairly complicated threading to pay attention to, as well as treadling. So we're starting to ease down into patterns that just require a few more skills and a few more techniques. You can do it, but here's how we're progressing through the list. So after Overshot is good old Shatterweave. Now, Shatterweave is probably the newest of all the patterns on the list, but it's a really interesting pattern. Imagine if you took a twill and you intentionally made a little shadow to each of the components of the pattern. That's what Shatterweave is. I've also seen Shatterweave patterns where they start with an Overshot pattern and they make a little shadow to it. It's very, very cool. And like the others, you're gonna need 2 shuttles to accomplish your Shatterweave, just to give that shadowy effect. Definitely give that a try. And lastly on my list is Honeycomb. Now, Honeycomb is kind of its own category, isn't it? It's a really interesting pattern because, you know, we only deal in straight lines. Our warp yarns are straight, our weft yarns are straight, but at the end of the day, Honeycomb has curves everywhere. It's so, so cool. But to get that effect, you need 2 shuttles. You need a background shuttle and you need a pattern shuttle. And those are going to be different sizes and they have very different functions to create that cool honeycomb effect. It's a lot of fun. So that is my list of 2 shuttle weaving patterns. What did I forget? I know there's some out there that I have left off the list. So rack your brain and let me know. Let me know in the comments, what are some of your favorite 2 shuttle weaving patterns? Because there's so many, right? This was just my short little list of 8 of them. Now, if you're like me and you like to have things written down, like a nice little piece of paper to keep track, check things off, slice through it, whatever you need to do. If you like some kind of actual physical piece of paper to help you keep track, I've got just the thing. I actually took our 2 shuttle weaving pattern list and I wrote it down for the Acton Creative Insiders. It's this cute little download that you can print, put in a file, have it next to your loom, whatever makes the most sense and will help you in your weaving journey. But if you're not already Acton Creative Insider, no problem. Come over and join us in the membership and you can download a copy of both this list and the one from the previous episode. Hopefully that'll be really, really helpful for you. Okay, I hope that gave you some direction if you're a newbie, and if you've been weaving for a while but you haven't heard of all of these, maybe it give you a little tingly feeling. You're like, ooh, I'm onto something. I want to try this pattern, because there's always more patterns to explore. That's for sure. Have a great week, my friends. Happy weaving.